What's the toughest weight class in NCAA wrestling this year? Let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. Welcome to Fanco Wrestling. My name's Josiah.
And I'm Brendan.
And on this channel, we talk all about wrestling news, tips, and lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe if you're a wrestling fan. Today, we're talking all about the toughest weight class in the national tournament this year. There are some doozies this year, and I think that there are three tough weight classes that this champ could go any way. And how we're going to structure this is talk about, anybody could be a champ in this weight, and there have just been a lot of upsets and things going on all around. So we have three major weights that we want to talk about. So the first one we want to talk about is 133.
It's a good one for sure. I think anyone watching, any of you guys who are wrestling fans, just know that 133 is stacked. If you just look at the top 20, it's so many hammers in there. If you want to look at the stats, we'll talk about it. There are three returning NCAA finalists.
Mm-hmm.
You have Steven Miocic, who took second at 133 last year, Nick Soriano, who took second at 125 last year, and then you have Ethan Lezak, who some people may forget is a national finalist,
Mm-hmm.
who took second at NCAAs at 125 a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in 2017. So, of course, Ethan Lezak from Minnesota, tough kid. But right now, he's ranked at number 7. And to be a national finalist, to be that low, let's call it,
Right.
is pretty impressive and speaks a lot for that weight. Of course, Steven Miocic from Michigan, right now he's a junior, and he's the number 1 ranked kid in the weight class.
Mm-hmm.
He's shown his dominance against a lot of these other ranked guys, like a Luke Fletcher, like a Nick Soriano, so far this season.
And even a Sebastian Rivera.
Even a Sebastian Rivera in that super match, which we talked a little bit about a couple weeks ago. Now, who else do we have in this weight? Of course, we have the guy everybody's talking about, Mr. Strut himself around the mat himself, Austin DeSanto.
Yes, sir. Number 3 in the country.
Yeah.
I honestly, off to not a great start for him in the early in the year.
Right.
He wasn't, he's number 3 right now, but with as many good kids there were, recently he has just been dominating
He stepped
kids.
it up, yeah.
He stepped it up to the next level, and he's someone to watch.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he's definitely an exciting wrestler to watch.
Yeah,
after the match too.
Whether you like his antics or not, he's shown that he wins big matches. The other guy who right now is another tough guy in the weight class from Oklahoma State, Dayton Fix.
Yes.
Obviously coming in as a freshman this year, he has a chance to become a 4-time national champion. If he plays his cards right, if he wins out.
Yeah.
A couple other guys that are pretty tough in this weight, other than a Nick Soriano, a returning national finalist,
Right.
who of course lost to Spencer Lee last
Mm-hmm.
year. Now, Soriano, should he have bumped up a weight? What do you think?
When I first saw him bump up, I thought he was trying to bump away from Spencer Lee because of how that national final match went last year. I don't know if it was a weight issue, if it was best for the team.
Right.
If he's trying to win a national title, I don't think that's the way to go. I think he should have stayed at 25 and took his chances with Rivera and Lee. But, he's definitely a competitor. He can definitely win a national title. Nobody's counting him out. I'm definitely not counting him out. But especially this year, he hasn't looked spectacular to me.
Right.
And I don't know if that's him wrestling these really tough kids at 133 or if there's something else going on, but I don't think it was the right move, and I don't think he's got a serious chance. He's definitely not the front runner.
Now by March, maybe we'll look dumb because he obviously wins the national title.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
If you're
when
watching,
March
Nick,
comes
prove
around.
us wrong.
Yeah, please. And another guy that we think is a big underdog to come into the national tournament and potentially win it is Mickey Philippi.
Absolutely.
Now, Philippi has won some tough matches this year.
Mm-hmm.
He, of course, is a freshman from the University of Pittsburgh.
He's beaten Fix this year.
Mm-hmm.
He took second at Cliff Keen. He beat Fletcher and Lezak back-to-back in the quarters and the semis. He got handled a little bit by Soriano, and again, this is just the definition of 133, how it's been going this year. But what stood out to me is he beat Fix, and
Yes.
Fix is number 2 right now. And all of them, they all just got a serious chance, and
They
Nikki
do.
is just an absolute hammer.
Yeah, and a couple other guys to mention, is Luke Fletcher, who is a serious, tough guy from Ohio State, always a contender. We also have Austin Gomez, who's a freshman from Iowa State, and he's shown that he can compete against these guys. And whether or not he does well at nationals this year, he'll definitely do well in the future.
Absolutely.
And then the last guy I want to mention, and who we think's a pretty big underdog and can make some waves at nationals, is Roman Bravo Young.
Absolutely.
Who, yes, in the Penn State Ohio State match this year, he showed up big, beating Luke Fletcher, and I think he can make some waves in this seriously tough weight class.
And another one I want to add on top of that is someone who hasn't been making very much noise this year, but definitely made his name known at nationals last year, Tarik Wilson.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He took third in the national tournament at 133 last year, beating Fletcher for third and fourth. He had a heck of a run, but he is only ranked 13 right now. So I know he was suffering from maybe some minor injuries, but he's still in the hunt, and we know last year what he could do at nationals, and I'm excited to watch him at nationals this year.
Oh, yeah.
He's definitely somebody to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And let's move on to the next weight class. So we think that 133 is a serious front runner for the toughest weight class out of all 10 of the weight classes. It's number one. These other two are not in any particular order. We're just kind of going by weight class order, essentially.
Right.
Is we want to talk about 165. So 165 is a weight that's pretty tough. It's, at number one right now, we have Vincenzo Joseph, who is a two-time returning national champion.
He's the man to beat.
He is the man to beat at that weight. Now, the battle that really shows up here is for the second and third place spot. And we'll see that upcoming, at nationals as well, who's going to compete against Vincenzo. But that number 2 and 3 spot, we have Alex Marinelli from Iowa. Now, of course, he beat number 3, who is Evan Wick from Wisconsin, in the duel a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Now, what's interesting about this match went into sudden victory. It was a pretty tight match, and they're out here to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have Marsteller below that.
Yes.
And those four, they wrestle each other. Marinelli beat Vincenzo last year at Big Tens. The thing about 165 is just how tight everybody is in that front pack of the rankings. Everybody, on any different day can beat each other.
Yes.
And it's important to note that Cenzo is the guy to beat, and I think at nationals, Cenzo is just Mr. Clutch. I've doubted him too many times before to not pick him as the guy to beat again. But there's back and forth constantly.
You're absolutely right. And the point you bring up about Marinelli beating Cenzo at Big Ten last year is just because somebody wins or loses Big Tens doesn't really mean that much at nationals. It may have a little bit of influence on seeding, but
you're trying to win it anyway. You
got
to beat everybody anyway.
Yeah. So, leave a comment below on who you think will win Big Tens at this weight upcoming in a couple weeks. And, a couple other guys to mention in this weight, other than Chance, are Josh Shields of Arizona State, who is, currently ranked in the top 5. You have Isaiah White from Nebraska. And then another guy you have that's pretty tough is Logan Massa of Michigan, who is a junior. So this is a relatively young weight class, and a lot of these guys, besides Chance Marsteller, who is a senior,
will be back next year.
Everybody will be back next year. You'll see the same tough competition at this weight class in the upcoming year. In the final weight class that we want to talk about that we believe is one of the 3 toughest weight classes in the national tournament is, what do you think, Brennan?
184. You look at this weight and you see Miles Martin in the front, but the thing that stood out to me about 184, besides how many good kids there are in the weight, is how back and forth that 2 to maybe even 15 can go. Let me just read off a couple stats here for you. First of all, Nino Bonaccorsi from the University of Pittsburgh, who's ranked within the top 15 but not top 10, he beat number 2 Renan. Not only did he beat him, but he beat him 8-0 for a major decision. With that being said, we have Zavasky beating Nino twice this year. Zavasky's ranked number 5. He's a returning All-American. And Zavasky was number 2, but he's number 5 now. Foster beat Zavasky twice at Cliff Keen. With that being said, Jacoby Smith and Venz both beat Foster. Not only that, but you have Chip Ness, who's a returning All-American at that weight, who's ranked 13. Jacoby Smith, a returning All-American from that weight, who's number 11. And you have Rashid, who's a returning All-American, who's undefeated this year. Just so much happening at that weight.
Yeah.
It's hard to not put them in a top 3 weight class.
That's absolutely true. I mean, and a couple of these guys haven't even wrestled Miles Martin this year, and like you said, I think that Miles Martin is the front runner. He is the guy to beat, just like Chenzo is at 165. Miles Martin is the guy to beat this year at 184, and he's looking for a second national title, which I think he will get. But he's not going to get there easy.
No,
with a lot of these guys, with Venz, with Renan, with Nino Bonaccorsi, it's going to be a bloodbath at Nationals.
It's weight classes like this that I love to watch in Nationals, because even the round of 16, anyone can win, anyone can lose, because you're so deep at that weight class from 1 to 16. Like Bonaccorsi, he could wrestle Renan in the quarters or in the round of 16, and he can beat him.
Yeah.
And he can potentially beat, make his way to the finals or the semis. And it's just so deep that every single round is going to be exciting to watch at that weight class.
And the other guy, like I said, a couple of these other weight classes, other guys to watch, you got Maxwell Dean of Cornell.
Yep.
Dean is a sophomore, brother of Gabe Dean, who's, you may know him from a couple years ago, national finalist. And then you also have an Emery Parker of Illinois, Ryan Price of Lehigh, Lou DePrez of Binghamton, and like you said, Chip Ness of UNC. So this is a loaded weight class. Some may argue that it's as tough as 133. And
put Nickel in that weight class. If Nickel doesn't pop up, I say it's a contender with 133.
Yes, absolutely. So please let us know. What did you guys think? What do you think is the toughest weight class of Nationals? Leave your 3 toughest weight classes this year, and let us know what you think is going to happen come March. Thanks for watching.